And in honor duty to Nigeria, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has announced a strategic restructuring of his media and communications team, appointing 3 special advisors to jointly serve as government spokesperson. Plenty of people to talk to the people, so we want to have a discussion about this. Joining us to do this, to give us a bit of insight and answer some of the pressing issues, or whether or not you need 3 more special advisors when it comes to speaking to the people. We have public affairs analyst Francis Chilaka. Francis, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us. I mean, let's get started. I'm going to ask you, just how do you perceive the appointment of 3 spokespersons in terms of enhancing, or in this case, diluting the effectiveness of the president's communication strategy?
Well, I don't think it is all about enhancing. I think it's more about propaganda. The president is setting up a propaganda machinery because if you look at the names of those persons, you know that these are people who are very good at handling propaganda. So Mr. President is indirectly setting up a propaganda machinery to be able to convince the gullible Nigerians about what he is doing and what he is not doing.
Now, if I recall, months back, he fired, I take that back, we saw the resignation of Ngelale Ajure, who resigned, citing family issues and saying that he had to attend to pressing family issues at the time and could not continue with his position. And now we're seeing 3 new appointments, special advisors, and altogether the number is growing, right? So one has to think about the complexities of managing multiple spokespersons. I mean, what measures should be taken to ensure that the public receives clear, unified messages from the president's office? I mean, how many spokespersons do you need to address the people?
Well, first and foremost, Mr. President has about 13, if I'm right, spokesperson or media persons. And what we found out over time is that they're all attacking people from different points and different angles. Take, for instance, the speech by our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Daddy came out and attacked him. And then Bayo Onanuga came out as well and attacked him. So you find out that they're more like attack dogs than really spokesmen for Mr. President. I think that there are too many people. Ordinarily, you should have one man who speaks on behalf of the president. But when you have too many people speaking on behalf of the president, it is more like creating confusion because we don't know who to follow and who not to follow. So I think Mr. President needs to, streamline his media team and let there be one person that speaks on behalf of Mr. President. Just like you had Ngelale Ajure, who was a spokesman for the president. So when he speaks, we know that, oh, this is his responsibility. But as it is now, 3 people speaking on the same issue, obviously divergent views, and the fact that, we wouldn't really know who is communicating the truth and who is not.
Speaking of truth, this seems to be criticism of this government communication. Everyone we've spoken to, every circular and every op-ed that we've seen about this appointment, it's been speaking about them, whether or not they are speaking the truth or managing, whether or not they are trying to, manage a certain narrative or, in your words, propaganda. I mean, how then will the appointment of 3 spokespersons contribute to restoring, public trust in the president's administration?
The only thing that will, that will bring back the trust the people have lost from this government is when the livelihood of the people improves. No matter if you like appoint 1,000 people to speak on your behalf, as long as those appointments do not add value to the present lifestyle of the Nigerian people. There is hunger in the land. We all know that. There is starvation in the land. We all know that. We hear that 18,000 students or children out of school. People are finding it difficult to access medical attention. Electricity is out of the reach of the people. Petrol is out of the reach of the people. So no matter what anybody says, as long as people are finding it difficult to have food on their table, as long as insecurity prevails, there is no amount of speaking, there is no amount of grammar, there is no amount of media team that can restore the lost hope the people have for this government.
And finally, I have to ask, right, because we've seen this in the past before, and this is when At the time, it was Ngalale Ajuri and Bayo Onanuga who were representing from one end to the other. And we saw a case of a breakdown in communication where one person is putting out a certain statement, another is putting out a certain statement. Now, with the presence of multiple spokespersons, one has to ask, how would it affect the relationship between, the presidency and the media? Will it also create confusion or create opportunities for better media engagement, like we see in the U.S., where we see the U.S. Secretary of State come out to consistently address the media?
Well, it's not going to be any different. What you're going to have is more of confusion, because if you listen to the way Bayo Onanuga talks, he talks down on Nigerians. Bwala, we know, has just been appointed, and we know that Bwala is one of those who criticized this president before the campaign. So I'm wondering what Bwala is really going to start telling Nigerians about this president. How is he going to convince the people he had told so many things about this president? How is he going to convince them to begin to listen to this government? So a lot needs to be done. The president needs to sit up and have one person that communicates whatever it is he wants to communicate. You will, in the coming days, find out that there's going to be a serious war in the presidency because everybody wants to outshine the other, and psychophancy will reign supreme.
Psychophancy will reign supreme. Those are words which should be emboldened in gold. Francis Chilaka, many thanks for doing this. We also appreciate you for coming on. Francis Chilaka is a public affairs analyst, and he joined us to give a bit of insight to the recent appointment by President Tinubu.